My name is Kenneth Garcia, a 30-year-old office worker. I've been into motorcycles since I was young, and I still enjoy going on a motorcycle tour by myself on weekends. When I was younger, I used to ride with friends, but some of them quit due to various reasons and others became so busy that they hardly have time. But for me, who works as an office worker, this is precious time. One day, I took a long way around without using the highway and went to eat ramen, which has good ratings. As I went into a road with a good view, I stopped to gaze at something that caught my eye. There was a man standing alone, with his motorcycle parked on the roadside. There's nothing around. Could his bike be broken? I parked my motorcycle behind his and spoke to him. Is it broken?
It was running well, but since I filled up the gas, it's been acting up.
The man seems to be in his late 50s, well-dressed and grounded rider. He might be one of the so-called return riders, who loved motorcycles when they were young and have recently started riding again. You didn't accidentally fill the wrong gasoline, right? As I looked into the engine and asked the man, he said there was no problem with the gasoline.
Are you familiar with motorcycles?
I'm actually a salesperson, so I'm not an expert in motorcycles, but I do know some. Motorcycles and cars operate on the same principle: gasoline, electricity, and air. He says the gasoline is fine, so could it be the electrical system or the battery? While I was looking for the battery, a plug cord that was dangling loose caught my eye. Could it be this? Maybe it got unplugged when you refueled. I plugged the plug cord back in and started the engine, and a healthy engine sound echoed from the muffler.
Thank you. You saved me. I thought I would have to call the road service, but I was actually reluctant to do it in the middle of nowhere.
The man wanted to thank me by treating me to a drink, but there was not even a single vending machine nearby. I politely declined, saying I hadn't done anything big.
But I can't just let you leave with your hands dirty.
If you ride a bike, this is normal. No big deal. As I said that and wiped my hands with my pants, the man smiled pleasantly.
Thanks to you, I'm saved. Thank you very much.
Being praised face to face made me shy. We exchanged handshakes with a wish for safe driving, and I parted from the man who seemed reluctant to say goodbye. The more enjoyable the weekend is, the more gloomy Monday inevitably becomes. With a completely different atmosphere from yesterday, I headed to the office. Although my sales performance is not bad at all, my promotion is really slow because of my boss, Chief Davis. He is a rare example of an old-fashioned who runs things his way. Buttering up him is much better than bringing in contracts in order to promote. I don't think I should have to distort my way of life that much, but those below cannot choose those above. The salary of office worker is something like a fee for patience, so it would be good if we could enrich our lives in our private time. Now, I've completely given up on promotion and have been taking the approach of going with the flow. But just as I was settling into this mindset, the roar of Chief Davis, the problem, echoed throughout the office.
Hey Miller, the date on this slip is wrong.
Diana Miller, who is in charge of accounting, stiffened and apologized in a small voice. Everyone, including me, was trying to avoid being involved and thinking, here we go again.
Didn't I tell you to check it properly? How many times do I have to say it?
Chief Davis stood up and walked to Diana's desk with the slip, nagging her the whole way. As he brushed off Diana's hair with the slip, the burn scar that she was hiding came into view. Diana has a large burn scar on one side of her face, which she usually hides by letting her hair down. I feel sorry for her because it must be hard for a woman, but Chief Davis knows that and harasses her anyway. Chief Davis is laughing at her, who is being extremely embarrassed, which is absolutely revolting to see. Seeing my boss making fun of her and her trying to get through it makes me feel so uncomfortable. I couldn't take it anymore and I got up from my seat and headed to the kitchenette. It's really stupid and ridiculous. I was in the break room buying a coffee from the vending machine, trying to calm my emotions from the absurd incident that had just taken place when Diana walked in to wash some dishes. I figured she was probably stuck with the cleaning duties by Chief Davis. After some hesitation, I decided to buy another coffee and called out to her. "Are you all right? You shouldn't take it too seriously." Diana seemed a little startled at first, but when I handed her the coffee, she smiled and thanked me.
I'm fine. I've been made fun of since I was a child, so I'm used to it.
That's not all right at all. Although I thought so, I didn't say anything. Apparently, when Diana was a child, a fire from the neighbor's house spread to her home, and she lost both her house and her parents. She was then raised by her grandparents. The burn marks on her skin are from that incident, and she says she survived only because her mother shielded her. Seeing Diana smile, saying I'm content with just being alive, made my heart ache even more. The next day, when I returned from an outside job and had just placed my bag at my desk, I heard Chief Davis shouting,
Miller, didn't I tell you to finish yesterday's work?
But I finished all the work orders you gave me yesterday.
When I turned around, Diana was being scolded again. It seemed like there was some misunderstanding, and Diana was unusually standing her ground. However, her attitude only stoked Chief Davis's anger more.
Are you talking back to me? If you finish everything, then there wouldn't be any left, right?
Diana, realizing the situation, hung her head and stayed silent, but Chief Davis's anger didn't subside.
There's still some left, which means you haven't finished. Don't lie.
Chief Davis started harassing Diana, hitting her on the head with the slip, while Diana quietly apologized.
By the way, you're a woman. You should at least wear makeup. Don't come to the office with a filthy face.
I was infuriated by Chief Davis's words. I couldn't stand it anymore, but Chief Davis continued to berate Diana.
What's with those burn scars? Aren't you embarrassed? If you can't work properly, at least try to look more feminine.
I recalled the story I heard from Diana yesterday. She lost her parents because of that burn. It's not a matter to be overlooked due to ignorance, and it's too insensitive. Chief Davis, that's going too far. When I intervened, the onlookers around us were surprised.
This is none of your business, is it? Just do your job.
Chief Davis, I think there's no relation between one's appearance and their work. When I retorted, Chief Davis's face turned betrayed.
You've got guts, Garcia. If you have a problem with me, your boss, you don't have to stay in this department. I can transfer you. Go work in another department.
Transferred? And that's how I was kicked out of the department I had been in until now. The department I was reassigned to was a small section that handled the management of materials and supplies used in each department. It was a small space with a few older ladies, where I would compile the inventory of the warehouse and the work orders for manufacturers. Anyone could see at a glance that I was treated as a troublemaker and was here. There wasn't even a window in this room. Chief Davis had really done it. While I wanted to express my resentment, a part of me felt relieved. Even if I had stayed there, there was no chance of getting promoted. Even if I did get promoted, I would have to keep reading Chief Davis's face even more. I don't think I could stand it. Sooner or later, this would have happened. Maybe I should seriously consider changing jobs. Since coming here, I've been thinking about my future, and one thing has been bothering me. Is Diana going to be all right from now on? With me standing up to Chief Davis, the others will likely turn a blind eye even more. I had meant to defend Diana because I couldn't bear it, but if I end up getting ostracized as a result, I won't be able to protect Diana anymore. I didn't mean to regret my actions, but when I think about it, my actions seem rash and naive. What should I have done? I tried to answer my own questions but couldn't find a satisfactory answer. A few days later, as I was checking the warehouse inventory and returning to my desk, an old woman who was summarizing order forms talked to me. Apparently, there was an inspection from the head office today, and important people were going around each department. An old woman told me that I might get pointed out if I took a break. I almost put into words that it would be useless to visit such a place, but agreed with her by nodding. However, contrary to my expectations, just as the outside became noisy, a higher-up, accompanied by about 10 subordinates, came in. The old women who always have a lively conversation are also doing their work in silence. I was also concentrating on my own work, summarizing the slips without making eye contact.
Me are.
Suddenly, I was talked by them and I stopped my hands and raised my face. Next to me, one of the important people was standing, who was smartly dressed. Next to that, a male subordinate who seemed to be explaining together was comparing me and the male important person with a dubious look.
Executive Jones, do you know him?
As I heard the voice of the man who called out, I looked at the face of the man named Executive Jones, and I realized. Executive Jones was the man I helped fix the motorcycle before.
No, it's you. I thought I'd seen you somewhere.
Executive Jones talked to me happily, as if there wasn't his subordinate who asked the question. Despite being a higher-up, he gave off a friendly and approachable impression, and he tried to shake hands with me just like when we met first. When I stood up and responded to the handshake, the people around me were surprised.
You were working at our company. The world is small. Thank you very much at that time.
No, not at all. Oh, I'm sorry to be late, but my name is Kenneth Garcia, by the way. Has your motorcycle been okay since then?
Garcia, thanks to you, it's in great shape. If we're in the same company, why don't we go for touring somewhere next time?
As Executive Jones patted my shoulder and laughed happily, he suddenly stopped his hand as if he had realized something.
You said you were in sales, didn't you?
No, well, and I tried to laugh it away, but being with the older women, my presence stands out, and it obviously looks unnatural whoever sees it. There is a little guilt to tell on Chief Davis, but it might be an opportunity to protect Diana. Perhaps sensing my difficult appearance, Executive Jones looked back at the other important people who had accompanied him.
We know each other. Can you go first? I have something to talk about with him.
When I asked how about a coffee, with joy, Executive Jones smiled.
Hey, can someone lend me some money? I forgot my wallet.
A subordinate who was about to leave the room came back in a great hurry and handed money to the executive. The executive said, "Sorry, thank you." I had a coffee and talked with Executive Jones, who is in a considerably higher position in the company. It was an unbelievably inappropriate scene, but Executive Jones seemed not to care and listened to my story seriously. I told the truth about my feelings, about the environment and heart injuries that a woman named Diana has brought, about the daily life of acting bravely to overcome it. I have a feeling that I want to support her as a man, as a human being. Executive Jones listened to the story silently until the end and only answered "I understand," and returned to the room where the old ladies were. Only the subordinate who handed the money was waiting, but Executive Jones didn't look at him and said, "I'll borrow the phone," and started making an extension somewhere.
You may come right now.
At that word of Executive Jones, Chief Davis flew in out of breath. Chief Davis, who is repeating greetings desperately, seems to be making some excuses, and Executive Jones raises his hand annoyingly to control such Chief Davis.
Kenneth was in sales when I met him before. Could you explain why he was assigned here?
Chief Davis was visibly sweating and stuttering in response. Seeing him fumble, Executive Jones sighed deeply and faced Chief Davis squarely.
Chief Davis, if you are going to lead the young talents who will shape the future of the company, there must be some reasons behind your action, right? What does it mean that you can't provide an answer? Can we trust leaving the management of subordinates in your hands?
Executive Jones said this and turned around, calling out to the subordinate who had been waiting alone.
Go with Chief Davis and investigate thoroughly. Look into all of the finances up to now, the staff sales, and all contract acquisitions.
The subordinate who responded affirmatively went to Chief Davis's side. The sight of Chief Davis, with a color on his face that one has never seen before, shaking in fear, was something to behold. A week later, I was formally reassigned to my old department. Chief Davis, whose issues were exposed one after another, was demoted and sent to a remote subsidiary company. When I returned, Chief Davis had already transferred, and my colleagues welcomed my return. As I looked at everyone's delighted faces, I once again felt that each of them had been carrying various stresses, and just like everyone else, my heart was filled with the joy of liberation. On the day of my return, as I was about to leave the company, I was stopped by Diana and thanked once again. Apparently, Executive Jones had directly visited Diana and heard about the consultation with me. Diana, who had apologized for the trouble caused by Chief Davis's lax management, was as surprised by Executive Jones's character as I was. I was glad to see that Diana was at ease, and it seemed that the scars from her burns were becoming a little less noticeable. Diana has been continuing treatment by regularly visiting the hospital, and it seems that with the progress of medical treatment, it will be considerably less noticeable in the future. I was happy with the continuation of good news, but more than that, I was happy that Diana had started smiling a lot. Apparently, when Diana talked with Executive Jones, she also heard the story of how I had helped fix Executive Jones's bike. And amazingly, Diane also loves motorcycles and has been riding them for a long time.
With a helmet on, I can hide burn scars, and you can go far without having to talk to anyone.
As I was listening to her, I still felt sorry for her. But, without concerning herself with my state, Diana looked into my face.
When I told Executive Jones that I also ride a motorcycle, he invited me to go for touring with you and him. He said there's a noodle restaurant he recommends. Kenneth, do you like noodles?
When I answered of course, Diana said good and giggled. Seeing Diana's smile, I was genuinely happy.